listening to Dubai 103.8. This is your agenda program. We're going to turn away from e-bikes and e-scooters and e-motorbikes and all the amazing stories that people are sending in on 4001, because it's now been about 2.5 years since those I think it was the first time that ChatGPT was introduced. It was November 2022. And I just wonder whether you are now using these AI assistants. Yeah. Are you using it yet? I bet you aren't. I bet you aren't. And it's been around for 2.5 years. And I think we really all probably should be. And you know, there's been all those dire reports about millions of people losing their jobs. There is, for me, one quote that really stands out. This is the chief executive of the AI firm NVIDIA. His name is Jensen Huang.
If you're not engaging AI actively and aggressively, you're doing it wrong. You're not going to lose your job to AI. You're going to lose your job to somebody who uses AI. Your company is not going to go out of business because of AI. Your company is going to go out of business because another company used AI. There's no question about that. And so you have to engage AI as quickly as possible.
Okay, so if you're not using it, you need to be. And I have to admit, I wasn't really using it until about a month ago when we interviewed the digital entrepreneur, Abha Malpani Naismith. Now, she's completely changed our workflow here on the agenda. Like, I can't, really has. And so, and she was so good that we'd asked her back again. And this time she's in our studio. Hello, good morning. Lovely to have you with us again. Thank you. And this time, Albert, you're going to tell us about how we can use ChatGPT, and I'm reading this out, you can tell, to make a digital clone of ourselves. Abba, why would I want to do that?
So ChatGPT is very good in helping you with all the tasks you need to get done. And what you can do within ChatGPT is create something called a custom GPT.
Okay.
Now, a custom GPT is a mini version of ChatGPT that's fully trained on whatever task you want it to be trained on. So if you wanted to have a version of you as a custom GPT that can do all the jobs that you do, like you would create a version of you as a custom GPT within ChatGPT. And for lack of a better word, I've called it a clone. So for example, I have one of myself, which I use for some of my tasks, and it's fully trained on everything I know, so it takes me much less time to do anything.
How did you make it get to know you?
So with a custom GPT, you can give it instructions, a really detailed set of instructions on how you want it to function, how you want it to work. A bit like if you hired somebody to work for you, you can give it all those instructions. But the beauty of it is something that you cannot do in ChatGPT is that you can upload a knowledge bank. So I've uploaded an about section of me, who I am, what I do, who my target audience is, my Myers Briggs test results, my human design results, all of that. So it really understands who I am and how I function and what I want to achieve in the day-to-day tasks that I do. So when I get it to do something, it's pre-trained. And I also don't have to prompt it anymore. I don't have to write complex prompts because it already knows everything about me.
Okay, so then what do you get it to do for you? I think that's kind of the bit of the sort of brain stop for lots of people. They're a bit like, okay, I get that it's supposed to be really clever. I get that it's supposed to save time. But what does it actually do?
So I have multiple versions of me in custom GPTs.
Okay.
I have one that's a generic version of me that I use when I want to write emails because it knows everything about me. So general emails, if I want to send a bio or a proposal or some sort of document about me, that's what I use it for. Then I have one for a podcast that I have. Then I have one for my Instagram captions. I have one for my LinkedIn captions because I write differently for LinkedIn. I write differently for Instagram. And it's so well trained on what I want it to do that it just mimics what I've already done. So for example, in the podcast that I have, it's got all my show notes. It's got all the transcripts of all the podcast episodes that I've done. It's got, what I do, why this podcast is important. So when I'm planning my podcast, it will just come up with ideas based on all the information it already has on my podcast. It will also give me ideas for my next podcast, write my show notes, write descriptions for YouTube, give the timestamps, write descriptions for Buzzsprout, all of that. So it's a low leverage task. So I recommend you use these tools to do your low leverage tasks so that you can save time and energy for higher order tasks like being creative, being original, using your brain.
So for what it's worth, ever since I first heard Abha talk us through these types of ideas, I have since used ChatGPT for so many of those types of things. And it's one of those things that until someone tells you what it can do, you kind of can't visualize it. So for example, I came up with a possible pitch for I needed to come up with a pitch for a possible podcast that we were going to do, or a feature that we were going to do through Ramadan. And I literally gave ChatGPT like 4 simple facts and asked it to come up with a pitch. Not only did it do it like that, it did it beautifully with little emoticons. It came up with a name for the feature. It came up with a description of what the feature would be. And honestly, if anyone's listening to this and thinking, oh, I'm a bit of a Luddite, I'm not going to be able to figure it out, I promise, just play with it. It is extraordinary what it can do. However, I'm still not clear. So I've opened ChatGPT on my computer here. Where do I go to create this sort of clone thing of myself? How do you load stuff in? I don't quite get it.
So it's called a custom GPT, and you go to the top right corner, and it will say create GPTs.
Custom GPT. There we go. It says customize.
And you go to create GPT.
And it has everything there. Okay, it's really easy. It's a bit like saying, how do I open a document on Windows? You go to File and New Document. Okay, so I get that. That really is easy. However, do you ever worry about privacy? So you've fed this system everything about you. You know, it can quite literally clone you. I mean, there's the existential threat there that it's going to become you, et cetera, in a sort of science fiction-y movie way. But how about privacy?
I mean, it doesn't really have anything super private in there. I mean, it's just information that I'm using publicly anyway.
Yeah.
I don't really have any deep, dark secrets in there that I don't want it to know.
Like your bank details. Don't give your bank details, people.
So, yeah, no, I don't worry about these things because I'm just careful. But if you are worried, you can unidentify yourself when you put in information.
Oh, okay.
So don't use your name. Use a pseudonym.
Yeah.
If you're using it for a client, or maybe you're working for somebody who's very high profile, anonymize it. De-identify that person when you're working in ChatGPT so that it cannot link that person's name with that information.
Okay, so once you've established what is essentially a sort of written clone, this is in text, isn't it, ultimately? What's the next step? Is there a next step?
So if you wanted to have fun with it, and if you wanted to show up more online but you're not comfortable on camera, you can create a real clone of a video clone of yourself. So you can use tools like there's Hey Gen, which allows you to upload a short 10-second clip of yourself and then upload text. Then there's a tool called 11 Labs where you can record your voice and it will clone your voice, and then you can put the two together and you can actually create a video of you speaking on camera, looking however you want to look, with all the filters, all the makeup, and upload your voice, and it will create a video for you. So if you're not comfortable showing up online, or you're just lazy, you don't want to do it for whatever reason, or you just want to put makeup on today, you can create your clone. It's not 100% yet. I feel like because I watch it so often, I can still tell that it's not real, but I feel like in the future there will be a point where the average eye wouldn't know.
I mean, I'm just looking at those websites now. HeyGen is HEYGEN.com. And then you can check out 11labs.io. And then, of course, ChatGPT can be found at chatgpt.com. Where can we find you? Because I have a feeling people want to dig into your content a little bit more.
I have a website, abhamalpani.com. And I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn under the same name. So
brilliant. I mean, honestly, Katie and I have learned so much as a consequence of listening to your tutorial. So thank you very much indeed. Thank you for coming in to the agenda again. You've just been listening to the voice there of Abha Malpani Naismith, who is a digital entrepreneur based here in the UAE. Thank you so much. See you soon.
Thank you.
There's more to come on the agenda.
On the UAE's #1 talk radio station, Dubai Eye 103.8.